Yeah, so that thing is supposed to be the obelisk. And it's just like floating there. So.
What's funny about that obelisk thing in the third
Mhm.
video that we're gonna watch that comes up again. So
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the AV Podcast. I'm your host, Jan, and with me I have my co-host, Ray. What's up, Ray?
how's it going, guys? Glad to be back.
Back from the dead.
Actually, I was on another podcast, so you guys are gonna have to be on the lookout for
you
that one.
traitor. Nah.
I know. Was the we'll put a link to it later, but yeah,
Oh,
guys
yeah.
can check it out.
We'll put a link in,
Cisco and Mike show.
Ray's going, he's going places, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy.
No,
You're gonna call you guys have to call me Mr. Hollywood from here on out.
Mr. YouTube now. Hollywood's dead. But welcome back, Ray, and welcome back, everybody. Today is our Halloween special, our Halloween spooky podcast special, which we're just gonna be talking about paranormal stuff and mostly aliens and shit like that, like good stuff. So, what do we have on the agenda first?
So first off, we're going to be reviewing, I guess, a famous video. You're the one who told me about it. I never really heard about this one, but it's the Dr. Jonathan Reed alien encounter from 1996.
Right.
So you heard,
Yes.
yeah.
I got it.
Hey, so you had heard about this one when you were a kid, right?
Yeah, so I wanted to cover this one because I recently did a research, well, not like a thorough research, just like browsing and reading here and watching some, I guess, other people that did, like they covered the story. But essentially, it was an interesting story, and it was like, I don't know if it's like a creepy pasta or I mean, it actually happened, but it didn't happen. I don't know if that makes sense, but it makes sense to me. So I wanted to go back. I wanted to go back and touch on this story because it went sort of viral back in the day in the 90s, all due to a talk show in Mexico, and it was regarding sort of like the paranormal phenomenon of UFOs and aliens and stuff like that. And it went viral. It went on this like UFO researcher brought him into the show, and he's kind of, well, the person who's a research person in Mexico. He's kind of legit. His name is Jaime Maussan, and he covers all that of the UFO and pretty much the UFO phenomenon. But I'm gonna go ahead and tell you the story, and there's like video footage. That's why I like this sort of story, or I guess it's a hoax. Well, to your own discretion if it's a hoax or if it's real. I think it's probably a hoax.
Well, let's leave it up for the viewer to decide.
Yeah,
we leave it up to you.
Leave it up to you to unravel the truth. But nonetheless, it was pretty interesting. I gotta say, like, because the show will appear like late at night, and you were to watch this episode, and this guy came on and he like tell his story and he showed videos, and you're like, oh shit, like, and you're a kid, you know, you go to bed and you're all scared thinking fucking aliens are gonna come and abduct you in the middle of the night. So that's why I like this story. But essentially, so I have my notes here. Hold on. What the hell? So with creepy music right now, I'm gonna put
Put it in the background.
So according to some of the research that I did of this guy, I mean, the story I sort of know at the back of my head because it's very memorable, but also I'm gonna miss some pieces here and there. So if you will, I'll try to see if I can link some or put some links on some of the articles about this story. But essentially, the story starts in October 15, 1997, and it has to do with this person by the name of Jonathan Reed. He claimed himself to be Dr. Jonathan Reed. I think he was a psychologist or something for working at a university. And in the middle of October in 1997, he was hiking with his dog in the middle of the woods. And then he came across a being. Well, the thing is, he's walking in the woods with his dog, and then the dog she goes somewhere like deep in the woods, and then he thinks it's kind of dangerous because, but then again, he doesn't have her on the leash because there's like bears around. So the dog goes far ahead, and then all of a sudden he starts hearing the dog scream, and pretty much like screaming like something's attacking her and stuff. And then his first thought, he says that it's probably a bear. Like the dog got like a bear has her and she's freaking killing her and shit. So he rushes to go see the what's going on the with her dog, with his dog, and all of a sudden he noticed that it's not a bear. It's sort of like another, well, I guess a humanoid being of some sort of somewhere that is holding her by the head, and the being is like holding her, kind of like choking her in a way. And then quickly, Jonathan, he or Mr. Reed or Dr. Reed, he grabs like a log and stuff or something that is like handy at the time around there in the surroundings, and he grabs it and he's trying to like hit the, pretty much is the alien, like how he paints it. But at the beginning he didn't know what it was. He called it was like a being, and it was like a slender, big-headed, grayish type of creature with like a thin a thin like kind of clothing like suit that's like attached to the body.
Like a space
And
suit?
and the thing is that I think, I'm not too sure, I have to go back and see the video, but I'm pretty sure the alien is wearing a turtleneck, so I don't know.
Classy.
Maybe he got it at the Gap, who knows. But so he goes and starts hitting the being or the alien, and then the alien pretty much decapitates the dog. And when the alien decapitates the dog, he says, well, according to his story, I'm not making this up, the rest of the body turns into like type of like ash and kind of disintegrates and stuff like that. So he pretty much witnessed his dog freaking being murdered by this freaking creature just holding her by the head and fucking decapitates her, and the body turns into ashes. So he goes ahead and he's like gives him a good one on the head of the alien, and pretty much knocks out the creature, right? Like the alien. So I think he goes back to his truck and he quickly gets like his camcorder, which I forgot what type of camcorder. It's probably like an 8mm or something like that. And he starts recording, and then he records like the scene in the woods, and there's like actual footage. And next to where all the commotion happened, there's like a object just floating there, and he calls this object, it's kind of like a trapezoid type of shape of like object, and it's black, and he calls it the obelisk. So he records the obelisk, he records the alien, and pretty much he's like breathing fast because the adrenaline is going on and all this stuff, and freaking he's like scared and stuff like that, which I don't know if that's good acting or or if it's real, but we'll try to put some video so you can go along with this content.
Sure.
So
we're gonna start it off at 1:18.
Oh, you're gonna start it?
Yeah, if you're ready.
Yeah, go for
you
it.
had one? Okay. And we're going.
Yeah, so that thing is supposed to be the obelisk, and it's just like floating there. So.
What's funny about that obelisk thing, in the third video that we're gonna watch, that comes up again, so.
Now I see, lying, or is he actually telling the truth?
Is that it right there, that little black square?
Yeah, that little like trapezoid type of rhombus diamond type of thing.
Man, he breathes like how I sound walking up some stairs, so.
Okay, pause it. At
206.
206.
Yeah.
So later on, he goes back again to his truck, and he gets a what do you call those? Remember when you do like the CPR training, and they teach you to wrap up like victims that are getting to a stroke with a
Oh,
foil,
a heat blanket.
yeah,
Right?
something like that. He gets like a type of blanket, and he wraps the pretty much the being, which I forgot. He gives it a name later in his interview. He gives the alien a name and shit. Like he has like a pet and shit. Like, oh yeah, I have a pet alien and shit. So to not make the story too long, he grabs the alien. He takes it back to his house, and he puts it on a freezer that he has in his, I guess, in his garage. It's like one of those like big freezers and stuff like that, because he just happens to have a freezer like everybody, and where you store ice cream and stuff like that. And he puts him there, and but before he puts him there, he opens the, you know, the he opens the, where however it was wrapped, like the the alien burrito. He opens it, and then he starts recording and he starts examining it. So I don't know if this if you continue the video. Let's see.
Start it up.
Yeah. So it's type of like, it's like a foil type of blanket.
Definitely looks like he's unwrapping a breakfast burrito.
Yeah, it's like
Okay.
alien burrito.
Yummy.
That's gonna be my next dish for my food truck restaurant that I'm gonna open too. It's gonna be alien burrito out of this world. So see, the alien has
Moving.
a turtleneck. So
Yeah,
it's,
and it's also moving too. You can see it like
yeah, it's blinking. So go ahead and pause it.
256.
256. So this is what I saw when I was a kid. So I'm like, shit, this is fucking like incredible. And at the time, I mean, back in the day, I'm pretty sure there was people that were skeptical, and they're like, blah blah, like freaking, it looks like a rag doll and shit like that, which it kind of does now that I now that I see it. And it's also like low quality too. But some of the things that actually, either he did a good job with the mannequin or whatever, if it's like a prop or if it's real, that you see like the alien sort of having this blinking effect, like the eyes are kind of like blinking, and also it's like blood that's coming out of, or whatever type of liquid is coming out of his head, as he keeps sort of well, not dissecting it, but what do you call that?
Examining it?
Yeah, examining it. Examinando.
Yeah.
Keep playing.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think the alien's kind of bleeding from the back where he hit him.
Yeah, it looks
And
like
he
there's
also-
some blood there.
Yeah, and he also puts gloves with, I'm like, well, he thought of this like through, you know, like,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think that's the face of the alien, and he's like where the mouth is, and the alien has a weak jaw.
Open its eyes, I guess.
Yeah, he's like trying to open the eyes, and then he turns his head, and that's when you see like the blow and shit like that. I mean, you can't
Oh,
really
yeah.
make up brains and stuff like that, but oh, that's a hand. I mean, that looks pretty. That looks pretty fabricated.
It does look like a doll.
Yeah.
And also the VHS quality kind of helps it too, helps hide it.
Yeah. But I think back in the 90s when he showed this video, he only showed like the good parts, you know, like that part when he's doing like a sort of like a 360 around the alien, and the alien looks like is making this blinking effect and stuff like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
if you forward it. Oh, no, don't forward it because they're not going to be able to sync it. Anyways, so we'll try to link this video so you can.
Does he go back to the crash site?
No, I don't think so. So careful, this cost me $2,000.
So, Doctor, when did you hear that scream?
Well, after a few,
Alright, you can pause it.
few hours had gone by.
And I
5:46.
think I'll try to put like pictures of it so people can like look at it as I'm telling the story. So yeah, now later after he brings it back, he's like I say, he gives the alien a name which I forgot. Let's call him freaking Roger. Fuck, I forgot what kind of
Roger?
name he like. Fucking Roger and shit.
His name Joseph.
Joseph.
Joseph the alien.
Yeah, Josephine. Well, anyways, he puts the alien in the freezer, so it can, I guess, conserve it. But in the interview of the 90s of the Mexican TV show, he, if I recall, if I can recall actually like how I remember it, he sort of starts having like a, not like a relationship with, not like a love relationship with the alien, but he sort of starts like kind of communicating with the alien, because when he, like, the next day he goes and opens the freezer and he noticed that the alien is awake, and he like rapidly closes the freezer because he gets scared. And then later on he starts sort of like communicating that the alien likes to be there because he likes the cold and shit like that. So that's not necessarily he has like a full conversation with the alien, but he can understand like how's he feeling or something like that and stuff. Now he goes and I guess he tells his friend, which I forgot his friend's name, and I forgot his name, but he tells his friend, and then he comes and he takes blood samples and he takes us to the lab, and he's gonna make all these, run these tests to see like if there's any human or any type of, I don't know, components or matches or whatever, what type of creature it is, because maybe it's not like an alien, maybe it's just like some creature you've never seen before. And I guess he comes back and he says that he couldn't find anything that's related to this world, which makes it more even mysterious, right? So then all of a sudden I forgot, I guess I sort of forgot like what's in between, but also he kind of gives like the story kind of like brief. He says that people show up at his house and they start asking questions, and of course when somebody shows up and your house, you tell them the truth, right?
Yeah.
It's like, hey, we're with the government, yeah, you guys want to check out this alien? You guys want to see a dead alien body and shit? Which I'm like, nah, I'm gonna keep this and shit. Like, I'm not gonna tell you what's going on. I don't know you. Like, get out of here. But also, you don't know if I guess for this is some type of advisement. If you ever encounter a true alien and you're not like a hoax, that you don't know if that alien has like radioactive like auras or something about himself
Like a
or
virus
his
on him or
objects or
something?
yeah, like an alien virus, and we don't have a vaccine. And the vaccine is going to and I'm just kidding. They're gonna mandate the alien vaccine.
Oh no.
Oh no, not again. And so I guess I guess you would tell like the government and scientists, because you don't want to keep this being out of, God knows, from Alpha Centauri or wherever it's coming from in your garage or your backyard, where you can be contaminating your whole place. And so he mentions some people like from a type of agency. He doesn't know if it's like part of the government or something like that.
Oh, was it the
type of
MIB?
like yeah, like the MIB, the Men in Black sort of type. They come, they disclose. I mean, they get everything, all the evidence and stuff like that. And the only thing they don't take is like the tapes and shit like that. And then they, of course, like all the stories of involving aliens and UFOs, They take the stuff and they threaten this person that if he says anything or you know what, they're gonna kill him and stuff like that. So he goes through a phase where he's fearing for his life. He just witnessed something incredible, and also not to mention that he lost his dog. You know, he's like pretty upset about that. And then he thinks that he's getting a little paranoid. So the next best thing he thinks about is, well, they cannot get me if I become big. You know, like a lot of people like follow me and sort of like a lot of people know me. And then if I go missing, then people are gonna start asking questions. So that was his plan.
Right.
And so just like all of them, right? Right. Which freaking a lot of people are famous and they go missing and they're like, I guess he went famous. I mean, I guess he went missing. And so that's his intent of going public with this story. Now, another thing about this story that was sort of incredible, or shall we say, back in the day, and you'll be stuck in like, oh, is it real, is it not, blah blah blah, and he kept you on that sort of pendulum, is that he mentioned that the alien, or something that the alien had, was a bracelet, which that was the iconic thing that he was known for. It was the bracelet of Jonathan Reed, which he claims that this bracelet had the power to teletransport to the aliens' home, meaning like billions of light years away from our galaxy, or maybe in the same galaxy, I forgot. But he claims that he had this bracelet, and he showed the bracelet, and well, he showed it as some photos and like video footage of the bracelet. He didn't bring the bracelet to the TV show because he's like, yeah, it's kind of too dangerous, and also it's too rare, and I don't want to get lost in here. And you're like, sure. Push the button. So he says that he also, in his story, he mentions that he tried the bracelet and he indeed teletransported to this I guess this alien's world, which once he teletransport there, I forgot like what exactly he like witnessed in presence, but he just, I guess it was like a religious experience, or he felt sort of like peace and like the
Did you
he
see
can
any other
understand.
aliens,
I guess he did, but like he of course, you know, I don't know, but go figure if he's telling the truth or not, which probably he's not. But he I think he was able to communicate with some of the aliens via telepathy, not necessarily like speaking, but telepathy. And then once he used the bracelet, he was able to no, because they took the alien. I was gonna say he was able to communicate better with Roger, which I guess that would have made sense if he would have put it that way. But the thing is that he wore this bracelet. He teletransports and he goes to the alien world, and he sees how it is. He cannot really describe it because, like always, you know, it's something that you gotta experience. You cannot really describe and blah blah because it's like another freaking dimension or something. I don't know. But yeah, that's the other feature that he's known for, is his bracelet. Now, of course, you're like, well, are you gonna show us? Because if what you're saying is true, this is freaking incredible, and then fucking this will be top news and stuff. And that's another thing. Is like, well, if this is true, why it never became big and stuff like that. That's when you start noticing that it's probably a hoax. But nonetheless, it's pretty interesting. So he goes dark in, I guess, in 2000s or 2001, 2002. Like you couldn't find out where he is and stuff like that. So he goes dark. He goes MIA. And then I think, if I'm correct, I did some research like back in the 2010s. I went back years ago to see whatever happened to this guy. And he actually uploaded a video of him showing himself like putting on the bracelet. Now, I think, yeah, one of the videos, it was uploaded like in the 2010s. And that was the last thing I ever heard of this guy. But if you see the video, it's pretty not good. Like the same thing. He's like a lot of breathing, freaking flashy lights, distortion and stuff like that. Like something you can get in Vado, like filters and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? And also it's like the same camcorder that he has. So you know, it's not like you can't really. It's not really high definition, so you can't really see what's really going on. And he also didn't make it public, so that's another reason. But nonetheless, he does try the bracelet, and a lot of flashy things happen, and he takes you on a freaking what do you call it, on an acid trip or whatever that is.
Oh,
And
yeah, like out of body experience.
yeah, well, not necessarily he explains it, but like the footage, or you know, the
Oh,
video
it's like all
goes dark.
psychedelic looking.
Yeah, a little bit, and then it goes dark, and then a lot of flashy lights appear. Oh no, it goes. If I remember right, how the video, and I'll try to link the video too, is that a lot of flashy lights, then it goes dark, then it comes back to the original, like where it's set up. Then he's not there, and then when he's coming back, it's a lot again, a bunch of flashy lights, distortion. The camera gets like too contrast, a lot of dark, and then once it recovers the scene, then he's back. So. And I forgot when he published this. Now, a lot of people are like, well, he published this in the 2010s at that time with smartphones and better camera quality. You couldn't make a better video, right? So I'm like, yeah, you know, why don't you make a better video? Or here's the thing: either it's a hoax, which I'm probably 99% is probably a hoax, or he recorded this a long time ago, like soon after the whole incident, and that footage from the 90s, and he just decided to upload it. So either or, that's what I'm trying to make up. So that's the story of Dr. Jonathan Reed and his bracelet, the alien bracelet. Now that's like a good creepy story, right? Like you hearing this, and when you're like 8 or 9, you probably believe it, right? Like now, then I went beyond just probably a few weeks ago, and it turns out that some of the things that didn't match, like he claims that he was, you know, he worked for a university in, I forgot where, Ohio or something like that, and other professors that worked there, they said that they never heard of him, and they discredited him or something like that. And other people, they claim that he's always been a hoax type of person, and he's never been able to maintain a proper job, and he's kind of like a
weirdo.
Not a weirdo, a scammer, like,
Oh,
like a con artist or something like that. But like all alien abduction or UFO stories, they always, you know, there's always that other side that, oh no, it's real, they're just trying to discredit me to make me look like a
they try to
crazy person.
gaslight people. Make
Yeah,
it look
gaslight.
like he's insane.
Yeah, so now you're like, with the whole, I don't know, conspiracy theories and everything, which side you believe? I mean, I think it's a hoax, because if this was to be true, then it would have been much bigger. But like all freaking stories, right, regarding that the government came and stuff like that. But you know what's funny?
I mean, it's possible.
It's possible.
I think that's exactly what the government would do. They would like do like a psychological operation and make everyone discredit you and make you think you're crazy.
Yes, but you know what I noticed? It only happens here in the U.S. Like a lot of people, they claim to do, like, have this type of encounters in Mexico. The government doesn't care. The government's too busy doing their corruption shit. You know? So, and then, you know, people, I don't know, in France or fucking, I don't know, Yugoslavia, I don't know, Czech Republic or Indonesia or something, you know, like the government doesn't care about that. So if a case like that were to happen, it will happen, you know, sort of like it would have been already mainstream, like the whole news and the whole thing, or oh, it's a hoax, because for some reason, like all the stories it happened in the US, and the US got involved, like the government, and they discredited everything and they did their thing. So it only happens in the US. I don't know if you ever noticed that, like but you never heard a case like outside of the U.S. where you hear the same thing. You know?
Our second video actually takes place in Africa, so.
So, fucking Coney came and took the evidence. Or, you know what?
No, but you're right. I think I don't know. Maybe it's because the U.S. is so popular. So
yeah, no,
maybe
that's
why.
the thing that, like, if you follow any alien encounter or any alien story, why they always have like the U.S. or the government come and they fucking diddled it. Like, that's probably the number one thing you shouldn't add if you're gonna do this story or if it actually happened to you, because that's one of the first signs that I don't think your story's like fucking true, you know? Because
Yeah.
I mean, maybe, but I don't think the U.S. is that sophisticated. We're giving them too much credit. I don't know. I mean, they didn't even catch 9/11 and shit like that. They can't even catch.
Because they. I'm not gonna say it. We're gonna. Yeah. They couldn't catch 9/11. That's right.
Full scare. No,
I'm not trying to get taken down for misinformation again.
they haven't even caught me.
Yeah, they haven't caught me either.
No, it's like I mean, we don't want to get like too political or anything, but like, for example, like, you know, the active, you know what? Active pew pew.
Yeah.
How come they don't catch him, you know, before that? Like,
it's because they actually with almost all those guys, you find out like a couple weeks later, yeah, the FBI was actually monitoring this guy. It's like, oh, well, why didn't they stop him?
Well, you know.
It's because we were giving him drugs to groom him, and
I don't know. It's just one of those things that I'm like, if I ever gonna come up with a hoax like this, I'm not gonna add the freaking
government part.
Part. Like, I'm gonna take that one out, or I don't know. So, but anyways, so that's the story of Jonathan Reed and the like, sort of like a creepypasta. And I'm pretty sure if you ever came across this story back in the 90s, I think you would have enjoyed it, because it is a good story. Like, if it was true, it would have been like an incredible story. But I don't think it's true. But actually, it's pretty entertaining. So I'll give him that. It's like, at least he gave me like a good story. So yeah, I appreciate it. But jumping on into your
so you're gonna say this one is? We're gonna rate this one false. As a
We're gonna
rating.
classify this one, boom, false.
Fact or fake? Did you ever watch that show?
Nah.
That was
Fact or
cool.
fake?
It was kind of like MythBusters.
Mm-hmm.
My brother was. I remember my brother was like binge watching it one time. It was kind of like MythBusters, but instead they took like these kind of videos.
Yeah.
These like paranormal, supernatural videos, and they tried to like recreate them and see if they could come up with like a logical explanation. Yeah, that's kind of cool. You should check that show out if you could find it.
Yeah,
It's not that old either.
The only one, I don't know if it was MythBusters, or I think it was. It was like a crew of 4, right? Like 2 girls and 2 guys or something like that.
Yeah. It was 2 girls and 2 guys, I think.
Yeah, I remember
probably
one
watched it,
time
yeah.
that there was like the only one that I was like, oh, maybe this is true. It was like a case where there was like a swing in South America that just kept swinging for no reason, and when they got there, it's like, oh shit, it is swinging. And then they will stop it, and like 30 seconds later, it'll start swinging again or something. So maybe it was I don't know. Maybe the landscape is like a little tilt, so it starts generating what type of motion? Energy motion is that? Like kinetic?
No, kinetic is like when something
it's-
transfers into it.
Yeah, it's
I forgot.
it's potential energy, and it's like another one, but fuck it. Anyways, so what's your story?
So this next story was kind of a popular one. Back in 1994, supposedly a UFO landed outside this elementary school in Zimbabwe, and 2 aliens came out and telepathically communicated with the kids there. And the kids the kids like all corroborated the story. So it's like, is it really, like 60 kids all making up a story, or did it really happen? So we're gonna watch this little video about these kids sharing their experience. It's about 8 minutes long. I don't know if we'll watch the whole thing. I think we will.
Yeah, we'll just keep like a few cutting. Okay, go for it.
We were playing down over there on the on the log.
Yeah?
And then we saw something shiny, so we all ran down over there.
And it was in the early morning?
It was at break time.
Yeah?
And then we saw something shiny. And we saw two people. They were in tight black suit. And they had big eyes. And a small, we didn't actually see their nose, but it was quite small. And their mouth was quite small as well. One of them was running in slow motion up across the ship. And the other one was standing beside the ship.
Yeah, you made a drawing, huh?
No.
It looked like this?
No, yeah, something like that. I couldn't see the eyes or the nose or the mouth. It was just blank, like a piece of paper.
Well, when they came, I thought they were crazy.
Was this the first thing you thought?
I thought they were crazy just coming to our school just doing nothing. And all I saw was something like silver coming down, and I said, what must that be? And everybody's crowding it. I must go crowd too. And then I went and I started crowding, and everybody, then more people came and more. And then I said, hey, I can't see anymore. Come on, somebody, I'm short. Come on. And then I went to the front and I started seeing more of them, and then I just ran away.
The day before the spaceship came, my friends and I, we were sitting in the playground, and one of my friends, her name Emily, she looked up into the sky and she said, oh, there's a UFO. She said, and I looked at it and she said, no, just kidding, it's an
Superman.
airplane. And we looked up and I thought to myself, that can't be an airplane because it was very shiny. It looked kind of like a cigarette, you know? It was a long thing, and then on the end it was all shiny. And so I said, maybe it is a UFO. So we were all kind of like getting scared now. And then the day that it happened, then we started thinking, yeah, there must have been a UFO in the sky. Because my brother also saw it, but he's left the school now.
It was sort of like a round shape, sort of like a plate, sort of like two plates that were sort of like on top of each other. Then there was sort of like the hole, the hatch for it, and there was sort of like in between two trees. But you couldn't see that clearly, and it was just silver all over. And I didn't see any men or something like that.
You saw one UFO, but surrounded by little ones?
Yeah, one big one.
One spaceship.
Yeah?
Little ones around.
Yeah, let me see. Let me see your drawing. One big one?
One big ship and then small ones surrounding it with there were lights
Yeah.
surrounding the ship.
Like Sean's, huh? This is Sean's drawing.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. And, okay, one landed, the big one landed, and the
And
two
then
aliens came out.
Yes.
And what happened with the little ones?
The little ones, they were just flowing around
In the air, they didn't touch the
they
ground.
didn't
They were
touch
just
the
sitting in
ground.
the air next to it.
And that, these made the silver lights?
Yeah.
They were making different color lights, like
Yeah,
green,
like they'd
red,
flash to green, then they'd go to blue,
and then
red,
purple.
green. Yeah, purple and red.
But it was like it was going like each one to each one, but quickly.
Yeah,
Like,
like they'll go there and then it'll vanish, and then it'll go there and vanish, and then vanish.
but going quickly.
Like as if it was one ship moving
Yeah.
places.
I can this drawing.
Come on.
Were they yellow?
No, I didn't have a silver crayon.
I see that too,
So
huh,
I
kid?
did it yellow.
I just ran out of blue.
So, but what happened? You came home and you told your parents.
Yes.
Some of them didn't believe it.
My mom didn't believe me.
Your mom didn't believe you?
My mom also. She didn't believe me.
Is that hard? Because if you see something and nobody believes you, what happens?
Yeah, you
feel
start
sad.
You start to
You talk
yeah, you start to think as if it wasn't true.
Yeah.
And people say to you, no, it wasn't true, so you think it wasn't true. Then you think that you're mad. Yeah,
Yeah?
And after that, you get all upset.
yeah, and everyone starts teasing.
And my friends over the road, when I go there and I tell them about it, they just say, oh, he believes in aliens, oh, he's stupid.
You've seen too many
Bloody
movies.
stupid.
Yeah.
You believe in aliens.
Was there nobody in your neighborhood who believed you?
Yeah, my mom and dad believed me. My granny and my granddad believed me, but my uncle didn't.
Where the spaceship had landed, all the
the insects and ants and stuff like that were all dead, and there was a huge black mark there. And my mom said it might have just been a fire there, but I don't think there was. I think it was the alien ship.
Yeah. But you have gone to the place, of course, and have you seen anything?
No, we weren't allowed
An
there.
evidence, I mean, that it was there?
Some other people came to the school and they went out the boundary of the playground and they went to go and see what had happened there, and they saw that the grass was burnt and all the living things had died there in that area. Him and his parents and his brother and sister all believed me. And my mother just believed me, but my dad didn't believe anything I said. Anything.
And did you describe it to them? Exactly what happened?
Yeah, and I drew it on a paper and I said, Daddy, this is what it looked like. And then he saw it well and he said, Michael, I think you're telling the truth now.
This looks like
And
the little
then
character
that's all
you
he
watch
said
on,
of it,
on
and
TV.
that's all.
Who was scared?
Yeah, I think I'll
Not
pause
all
it
of
there.
you, huh?
6:15. So what are your thoughts so far?
Well, I mean, like you said, one thing is coming out of a, well, like Jonathan Reed was like, I think he was like almost 40, or I forgot how old is he when he came out with the story. But one thing is like elaborating from a good, hoax or whatever, if it's false. Another thing is like convincing, how many kids are there? Like 20?
20, yeah.
To sort of say the exact same thing and like even drop pictures and not have not have one slip up or but then again, I don't know, kids
Kids could also just be rolling with the idea. Maybe someone tells them like, yeah, but
yeah, like they saw, I sort of couldn't understand too much of the kids because when kids talk, I sort of tune out, like, oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's me with everybody, but
it's like everything they tell you, like they think it's important. It's like, just scram, too busy here. But okay, let me get to the bottom of this. Like, fucking, this mystery machine Scooby-Doo shit. So let's diagnose this case. So what could actually happen? And I'm gonna put my tinfoil hat and shit like that. On the skeptical side of the story is they all saw a UFO come down. They saw like little Martians coming out or some shit like that.
Yeah, 2, I guess.
And like 2, but he said like there were like tiny ones, and there were like tiny Martians or tiny UFOs coming out and like floating around or something like that.
I guess they said two ships landed, like in front of them, or I guess outside the playground.
Yeah.
And then there were other additional ones flying around in the background, and then those 2 ships that landed, 2 men came out of it.
Oh. Okay.
And walked over and like telepathically talked to them. I'm looking at the Wikipedia article right now. As we all know, Wikipedia is very reliable. So
Very reliable. And they don't ask for donations either.
But basically, the sightings at Ariel, I guess is the name of the school, occurred at 10 a.m. September 16th, 1994, when the kids were outside on mid-morning break. The adult faculty at the school were inside having a meeting at the time. The entire incident lasted about 15 minutes. When the children returned to class, they told the teachers what they had seen, but were dismissed. So
No.
the aliens came down just when everybody was on break. So
Just when everyone was on break. No, okay, well, maybe. And that's the thing, you don't know. Only
yeah,
God and these kids know, right? But
yeah.
let's try to debunk it. What could have been? It could have been maybe a little RC toy. I don't know.
Oh, there's I guess a theory they're calling it mass hysteria. Like someone just made it up, and then the idea like just keeps bouncing around between all of them, and they get like convinced.
Yeah.
Because there was one kid there who was talking about the aircraft landing, and that the ground was burnt, right? And then the lady asked her like if she saw it. She said no, but her brother and dad went to go see it. So she's like getting secondhand information, and then like relaying it like it's the truth. So I mean that's how it is when like with kids, they hear stuff and then they keep like building it up and changing the story every time.
It's like that game of telephone. Do you remember that one?
Yeah.
Like the point of that game is that you tell something, and by the time it comes back to you, it's totally different.
Yeah.
because people just like they fucking start making up shit and start stretching the truth. So I think that's probably what happened. But what could they have mistaken the UFO for? I mean, I don't know. Maybe it was like a wire that was like sparking or something like that. Who knows? Or I don't know what it could have been. I will need to sort of do research on the area at the time, like scout the area. But if it's true, and everybody's come out with the same story, but there's no evidence, then, and this is like tinfoil thinking, freaking conspiracy theory. Well, not conspiracy theory, just like crazy theory. Maybe remember last podcast, a few podcasts ago, that we're talking about how children, they perceive the world different.
Yeah.
So maybe these beings, they can only being seen by people that haven't been, they still cannot make up what's real. So maybe they saw in a different reality there, like the reality glitch, and all the kids saw that shit. And then once it glitched back, like the adults cannot see it, and you know, they're not aware of this reality. So that's probably something, I don't know, but maybe everybody
That's
was high,
possible.
who knows.
But I mean,
No,
it's still crazy to think that you could get 20 kids to just sit there and tell you that they all saw the same thing. Either way,
yeah,
I mean, that would take
So-
dedication to be a hoax, you know.
1994.
94,
That is-
yeah.
That is great.
So I
Yeah,
finish it up.
actually
It's only
it's-
2 minutes.
Uh,
I'm gonna hit play.
sure.
Who was dreaming about it since then?
Yes.
In a bad way? Yeah, in a bad way? No, tell me first in a bad way. Why? You have nightmares about it?
Yes, I used to, but then after about a year, I stopped dreaming about it. I dreamt that the same one I saw without hair, he came into
Oh.
my bedroom and he took me from my
I
bed.
get those kind of dreams too.
Did you dream that?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
And then I just screamed. I woke up and screamed.
And what did your mom say?
Well, she just kept on saying it was a nightmare. She didn't really believe me. I wasn't scared a bit.
I wasn't scared for shit.
No, I was brave.
Not at all.
Nothing. It was all fun to me.
I heard this lady on TV, I think it was Jill Dark, and she said this lady got kidnapped and she had babies that were aliens.
I mean, some people do look like aliens, so.
That's true.
Yes. I think the aliens came because they're curious like us, and well, they want to learn about us and we want to learn about them. Some people say that people are saying that the aliens came to warn us something's gonna happen. That something bad is
Y2K
gonna
at the
happen
time.
to the earth.
I think they came here to try and warn us that the children that because we're young, we've got a long time. We've got a long time till we die. To warn us that when we're older,
The pandemic.
there's something going to happen to the earth.
Yeah, not to pollute. Because
Yeah.
we're young, we can still prevent it.
Yeah.
Do you still have all that feeling? That as a child you could do
To be a
lot?
kid again, right?
Oh yeah. You know what I just realized?
Do you
All
feel
these
as a
kids,
child, do you feel
they're our age
privileged?
now.
Or do you think
So
They're older
next
than me.
time
Oh,
if-
older
if-
than
yeah, they're older than
Please
us,
go
or
to
older
our
than me.
school.
But because '94 I was 4, so
Us too.
they should like do a school reunion and talk about that shit. Like
Actually,
we're
then,
totally
I think in
faking
that article I was reading, they interviewed one of them when they were older. Let me see if I
When
can
are we
pull it up
gonna be
after
on
this.
TV?
We sent you the cassette.
Yeah,
Let me
I mean,
see.
it's interesting, but I would like to get like their adult perspective now, like. when they-
Yeah. Let me see if I can find here real quick.
Mm.
In June 2021, Barstool sports writer Za spoke in an interview about being a pupil in Ariel that day. He recounted that he saw a bright light come down from the sky and aliens exited. Other witnesses were interviewed for the 2020 documentary The Phenomenon and spoke about how the experience has affected them. So they did get a chance to talk to some of the kids as adults, and if they still keep that same story, then I mean,
Then maybe I don't
seems
know.
pretty legit.
Seems legit. Ah, shit. You
Yeah.
shouldn't be one of those kids and shit.
Okay, guys. third video that I watched earlier, it was about this. This video just came out, I guess, or this podcast just happened. But it was a Navy fighter pilot. While he was flying for the U.S. Navy, he actually saw UFOs in the sky. And it's actually funny because I guess the government, within the past few years, they revealed that they have like a program where they're actively investigating UFOs. But they don't call them UFOs anymore. They call them UAPs, which is unidentified aerial phenomena. Which is like, I don't know why they...
It's a UFO. Like, why are you trying to? It's like the whole. I don't know. Maybe they're trying to throw people off so people don't ask too many questions. But
I was thinking they changed it so they sound like less crazy. Because the whole UFO thing's associated with like crazy people, so I was like, no, we're legit. It's UAP.
UAP now. It's like, nah, just keep it a UFO. It sounds better. Plus, I already made a bunch of shirts that I'm gonna sell. Okay.
All right. So the backstory on this guy, he was a U.S. Navy fighter pilot, and he talks about all the weird stuff he saw when he was flying. So I'm gonna start it halfway through at the 9-minute mark.
9-minute mark. Go.
Yeah, a fighter aircraft would be kind of flying around at those airspeeds, except sometimes they would be perfectly stationary as well.
Right. So it's not exhibiting any sort of patterns that you've recognized in the past?
No, they have actually. So,
although but with the stationary, no, right?
Correct. With the stationary, no. With the meandering kind of flight path, no. But I would also see them essentially fly what we call a racetrack pattern. And essentially what that means is they fly in a straight path, and then they do like a 180-degree turn in a certain direction. Then they fly a straight path, then turn again. So that's what we call a racetrack pattern as opposed to a circular holding pattern. We did witness racetrack patterns. In fact, I think there's been some cases off the West Coast just the past couple of weeks where people have also been observing objects flying in racetrack patterns high at altitude with lights. So I do recognize that behavior, but I don't necessarily think that means we have to attribute it to normal behavior necessarily. That type of flight path is important because it's a very efficient way to fly, right? If you have to maintain the position in a certain area, you want to minimize how much you're turning. Because anytime you're turning in an aircraft, you're using more energy than if you were just flying straight and level. And so by having that racetrack pattern, it's an efficient way of holding in a position by maximizing straight and level time and minimizing your turn time.
And how long would these things stay up there for?
So from our experience, and again, we weren't studying these, but they were always out there. They were out there when we took off, we'd see them, and then we'd go to land, they would still be out there.
Like every day?
Crazy.
Every day?
Every day.
So you guys go from not having any idea that these things are out there to an upgraded radar system to seeing them every day.
Yeah.
What is the thought? Like, how are you feeling when these, like, is there an evolution of the thought pattern of how you're addressing these things and thinking about them? Initially, you're thinking they're errors. When do you start getting a thought that, like, what the fuck is this thing?
Yeah. So that happened when we visually saw one. And the first time we visually saw one, the object was directly at what we call the entry point of the area. So, that box that I told you about in the sky that starts 10 miles off the coast, there's a particular GPS, location and altitude where incoming traffic will fly in and outbound traffic will fly in the exact same spot, but will fly out 1,000 feet lower. There were 2 aircraft from my squadron, VFA 11, and they flew, took off as a flight of 2. That means they're essentially flying in a formation like this. And as they hit the area, one of these objects went right between the aircraft. The lead air crew saw the object. The Dash 2 aircraft crew did not, which is not surprising because they're usually, you're very focused on flying formation. You're just staring right at that aircraft. The lead really has actual leeway to look around. So he saw it, and, he immediately came back. I have to assume he didn't have it on his radar because he wouldn't have flown through this object at the entrance point. He turned around, flew back, landed, and I was in the ready room when he come back, and he had all his gear on, which typically is not a good thing because you want to get that stuff off as fast as possible. So usually means there's a problem of some nature, and he was just sitting there saying, hey, I almost hit one of those damn things. And we all knew what he was referring to, even though we didn't necessarily have a name for it, just because we were seeing these so much. And he described it. He described it just as a black or dark gray cube, and that cube was inside of a clear or translucent sphere. And essentially, the apex or the corners of that cube, best he could tell, were touching that inside of that sphere.
And that description mirrors many of the descriptions that people have had of these, whatever you want to call them. Whether they're calling them UAPs now for some strange reason. UFOs is I don't know. Does it have a dirty connotation to it? And is it tainted because of so many crazy people talk about UFOs?
Dirty.
Is that what it is?
It does come with a lot of assumptions baked in.
It baked in. So that's something. But whatever it is, that is a design that people have reported seeing before. That this translucent sphere and this cube. Can you see through the cube?
Not to my understanding, no.
So it's some sort of solid black cube that's inside this translucent sphere, and it's just floating around and flying around the sky.
So that's a good point. Is it floating around?
Sounds so ridiculous.
Which is strange, right? Because you could think of that description and go, okay, that's kind of some kind of weird balloon maybe with stuff in it, and that's certainly one way. If you just view that angle of it, then it seems explainable. But when that the balloon-like object starts cruising around at 0.8 Mach. That nullifies that particular idea, and you'll see that a lot where it's not just like that one picture or that one behavior. It's really, you kind of have to zoom out a bit and look at everything in relation to each other and say, okay, why is this weird? Okay, it was hanging out in a racetrack pattern. That's not exotic, but when you learn it was doing it for perhaps 13 hours.
13 hours.
Perhaps they were out there all the time. So I land and I go back, and we weren't on a intel mission to analyze these, right? We're going to do our training. It's very expensive, $30K an hour to fly these things, right? So really the only time we can put energy into looking at these things is when we're kind of transiting back and forth or waiting for a fight to start. And so, it's never like a dedicated analysis.
It's like you're driving to work and you see like Bigfoot on the side of the road.
Like, see two dogs doing it, and you're like, oh shit, they're doing it, and then you just like fly by, So, but I don't know, something like that, right? Like you just see, oh shit, look at that, and then keep going, keep driving. So, wait, so the object is going 0.8 Mach?
Yeah, which I think he says is like 250 miles an hour.
Yeah, because
and one thing I don't think we saw in the clip, but he was talking about how sometimes they would just be standing still in the air, which doesn't make any sense because of like wind resistance and stuff.
Right.
So it's like physically improbable, which is like really crazy.
So
I don't know. It's like, what are these things?
I'm not
didn't
sure
he kind of? Didn't that square cube kind of sound like the Jonathan Reed thing too?
Yeah,
right?
Maybe. But then again, like how did he know Jonathan Reed to make it a cube instead of a saucer? Oh, maybe. Okay, there's two possibilities here. Either it's the same thing, and Jonathan Reed is like not a hoax person, or he's telling the
genius.
Or he was running on low budget because to make like a spherical, like very smooth edge saucer, like there's like no edge. It takes like probably a lot of money and a lot of crafting and stuff like that. So what's the best thing? It's like just make it sharp, fuck it, and either make it out of wood or out of cardboard or something like that. But it is kind of strange that it matches that. Yeah, it's kind of like a sharp.
And isn't that what people usually talk about too? Isn't that kind of like remember the Black Knight satellite or whatever? Remember hearing about that?
Oh yeah, I think so.
Kind of sounds like that too. I thought that was debunked though.
Was it ever debunked?
I don't know.
You remind me of
or it's another one of those things where the government like gaslights you. No, it's just trash. It's just trash in the sky.
It's just space trash. Don't think about it.
Yeah.
It could be because some of those objects are just standing still. Well, not standing still, but they keep orbiting because of space debris. So
I could see the orbit thing, but for an object to be standing still in the sky, like it doesn't make any sense.
No, that's
How
the
would-
thing. Like,
yeah.
who took that picture? Was it a satellite or was it an airplane? If it's an airplane or whatever took that picture, if it's an airplane and it's just standing there, then yeah, it could be something else. But if it was a satellite, the satellite is moving along with that object, so it looks like
yeah.
it's still, but it's not. They're moving. So
Yeah.
it's a
Oh
physics.
yeah, I mean the object in the sky that's not in the atmosphere, like that's really crazy. Because once you get up past the atmosphere, then you could go into orbit around the Earth or whatever. So
Yeah, like once
Yeah.
if you haven't escaped the atmosphere, then it is crazy. But if you're out, then it's not so crazy because yeah, you're in orbit. So I don't know. But you remind me of I guess we can finish with this story, and it's like it's a story of a cop in Mexico who got attacked by a witch.
oh nice, I want to hear this one.
You haven't heard of this one? Same thing. It
Nuh-uh.
happened back in the 90s or early 2000s. I forgot. And I think the kid's story, the one with they're telling like the whole story of the UFOs. It kind of remind me of this one where it's oh no, one of the kids' pictures. It reminded me of this story because there was I'll tell it briefly and how I remember it. But essentially, there's this cop in Mexico and he's driving around in his unit, and he's by himself. So I think he's about to clock out or go back to the station, and he's like in this like little freaking little pueblito and shit, like little town and shit. So it's not like a big city. Anyway, so he is I think he is stationed somewhere, just taking a break, and all of a sudden he sees like a dark figure, freaking like I don't know, some type of creature like following him or approaching him. So he puts the pedal to the metal and he like bails because he's scared. And good thing he's a cop and shit. Like, I mean, you have a gun. Couldn't you just shoot the thing and shit? I would have shot it and shit. But anyway, so he says that as he's driving, the witch is following him, and the witch lands in the windshield, like like freaking, it's like hovering on top of his police car. And then when he's about to make a turn or he kind of slows down, like the witch sort of catches up to him, and then he lands on the windshield, and he sees like the witch right there. And what does he do? Well, what anybody would have done at that time, at that specific time, he passes out. So he passes out because he was too scared. And when he wakes up, like people, yeah, that one.
Oh, okay.
Oh, is it?
Is it? Oh, I guess
Yeah, that was
it's a fucking.
A bunch
Let's
of
see.
pop outs and shit.
Yeah. Oh, this is probably it. Same story, I think.
Yeah, it's probably the same story. But anyways, so he sees like the witch, and then freaking he like passes out. And then later on, I guess he calling for backup, and then they find him, and then they wake him up, and they take him to the ambulance and stuff like that. The ambulance gets there, they checks him in, and then he didn't get hurt, but they saw some like scratches in the windshield and stuff like that.
Oh, you know, I think I heard the
Some
story
sort-
before, actually.
I think so.
Kind of coming back
The-
to me now, yeah.
Yeah, and then he claims that it was a witch. Now, I did some digging, and because there's like let me see if I can find some. There's like people that they sort of draw witches, like in Mexico, and let's go. Oh crap! Hold on. Witch drawing, I guess. 1999. Let's see. Maybe not. Well, okay. I'll cut to this scene, but essentially, a lot of people they have witnessed witches in Mexico. They describe them as like they don't look like a traditional witch like Hocus Pocus or nothing like that. It's
Yeah.
more like a creature, and it has like feathers, and it has like big eyes. It has like,
Kinda like-
big eyes.
Kind of like the Mothman. Probably the same thing.
Probably, but you know
the
what
Mothman
I
story? Yeah.
a little bit. It's maybe you can alliterate after this one. So the thing is, like a lot of people they say that witches are not like actual witches. They're like creatures, and they're like big. They have wings, and they have claws for feet and shit like that, and they have like big eyes and shit like that. So I saw some of the pictures that the officer, I don't know if he drew them or they showed them the same pictures, and he's like, yeah, that's exactly what I saw that night. And like I said, I'll try to find like a picture and post it on the video when we upload it. But it looks like a creature.
If you look at my screen. Do you think this is it?
Sort of, not really.
Okay.
It looks like a creature, like big eyes. Anyways, so if you maybe more like click on that one and go to more of those pictures. Like, then go at the bottom. Yeah. See more? Yeah, right there. Okay, go down. See. That's another video too that came out in the 90s. But essentially, what the okay, you know the you know the owl right there in one of those photos.
This one right here.
Yeah. That's what people draw. So I'm like, maybe people are confusing owls with witches. Because I saw those. They're called lechuzas, and they're it translates to sort of like a type of owl, and it's like big. That fucking owl is big. So they think that those are witches. So maybe that's what the officer saw. That's the next best thing I can come up with. And if I were to unravel this story.
Yeah.
So I think even that's like the photo of a video that people capture that owl and they burn him alive because they thought it's like those people that they believe in hocus pocus, and it's like an old village and they think that's a witch, and they burn the poor animal and shit like that. So that's what I think it was. It wasn't like a witch, but it was like a big ass owl and shit. So
yeah, that's possible.
What's the Mothman?
Kind of the same thing. I guess like on the East Coast, they would see this animal with like wings, claws, red eyes, and he kept appearing whenever like bad stuff was about to happen. And there was this famous bridge collapse, and supposedly right before that bridge collapse, they saw him playing around it. So.
Oh yeah, I think
there was a movie about it. I don't think I ever watched it though. Yeah, Mothman of West Virginia. But yeah, it kind of sounds just like a witch. And folklore over there in Mexico.
Mexico, man, fucking witches,
folklore.
Bro. Witches and duendes and shit.
They and also fly over there and come back.
the witch has a visa and shit. She has a visa and shit. She has a working visa and shit. Comes all the way over here and shit to cause mayhem. But also, isn't there like a story of the fallen angel that I don't know if it's true, but they saw like a fallen angel before 9/11 or some shit like that, like
oh really?
Twin Towers.
I don't remember.
I think there was like a story similar to that, and yeah, there's I think that's about it. I actually have a few stories, but then we'll go like into like this podcast will last like 2 hours, but yeah.
Well, yeah, let's keep it on UFOs, I guess. What do you think the UFOs are, Juan? What's your interpretation? You think they're aliens?
What's my intake? What's my input? Oh yeah, I want to see your intake. My car intake. What I think they are? Shit. I mean, the only evidence that we have is probably the footage and the testimony of pilots and like the pilots from like the Navy and the Air Force or wherever whenever they do their routes.
Yeah. I mean, we can confirm there's something weird out there that's like violating the laws of physics because it doesn't make sense. Maybe it could be like could be aliens. It could be maybe some kind of super secret Chinese weapon or something. I don't know. I always like to think that it cannot be man-made, and because they always blame like, oh, it's Chinese or it's Russian, and then probably over there they're like, oh, it's American and shit. Yeah, over there like, oh, it's American.
That's
like, oh no, it's the Australians.
No, it's Australian shit. It's Japanese.
That's the Brazilians.
I also like how here they always try to like keep it a secret. Even the government, they went to the effort to change to what AMPs or what
are you or the UAP?
UAP.
Unidentified
and keep it a
aerial
secret.
phenomena. Yeah.
Whatever that is. And then not too far, I guess like what in the 2000s or something. Over here they try to keep it a secret. It's like, oh yeah, blah, blah, what are they hiding? And in fucking Mexico, like you see aliens and the government's like, oh, here, post it on the TV and shit. I don't know if you saw the video of like the Mexican Air Force. They caught like a bunch of UFOs just like cruising and shit. And they just
I think above
like,
Mexico
this is
City.
what we
Yeah.
got.
They're like, yeah, here it is.
Ah, yeah, fuck it. This is like this will keep them entertained. Don't ask about the economy and about the election and shit. Yeah. The election fraud. Over there, they do the opposite. Like they need that shit to keep the people entertained and shit. So it's a Chinese box.
There's a theory I've heard floating around that the reason that the UFOs and stuff are popping up like lately in the recent years is they're gonna use them to like distract us from whatever, the world failing, and dying, or they're gonna use it to like brainwash people.
The thing is that people.
I don't think that's very.
I guess you have to, if you really want to discover what the UFO is, you have to sort of get into the mind of the UFO. To understand the UFO, you must be the UFO.
Become the UFO.
Become the UFO. You have to go into that mindset of what will you use if you had the power of UFO? What will you use it for? Like in, let's say the human race or your species goes and it becomes very advanced. You're exploring like, or I don't know what you want to do to like another planet. And
I would say just to watch, observe,
right? So
yeah, it's like we're the zoo. They're the freaking visitors at the zoo.
It's like, I don't know if you read the 3-body problem with Cixin Liu, whatever. I forgot.
Nah.
I mean, it's something like that. It's a very interesting science fiction novel, but well, I recommend it for you to read it because it has a lot of things. It's not really a spoil because it has a lot that I cannot spoil it in just one word. But essentially, it's about like the first encounter of humans versus aliens, and what the aliens do to like sort of prevent the humans to evolve, because they're in this, not evolve, but like advanced technologically, because they're in this interstellar war between, we're at war with the aliens. So the aliens figure out a way to have us not become smarter. And one of the things is they create like these objects called sophons, and they're multi-dimensional, that they sort of fuck around with the physics in here to the level that the physics don't make sense anymore. So once you kill physics, the human beings cannot advance. So that's how they sort of do it, and they go to war with us and shit. Because kind of spoiler, but you should read the entire book, because it's 3 books. It's not just one. Because the aliens, their world is dying, and they find the Earth because we transmitted a fucking message and shit. So they found out that the Earth is in a stable system, aka the solar system. It's not chaotic, and they want to go and harness that because they're looking for their world is chaotic because they're in this trisolar trisolar system. There's 3 stars, and their planet keeps bouncing around the stars. So sometimes they get too close to a sun that it eliminates all what's alive, and then it has to go back and reset every single time. That's why they live in chaos. So they're trying to find a planet that will not live in chaos, and Earth is perfect because we don't live in chaos. Our solar system is stable. So yeah, anyways, they're more advanced, so they figure out that the Earth has the perfect habitat to live there, so they're gonna migrate there. But they do analysis on the Earth, and they figure out that we're on an explosive technological era, meaning from in the last 200 years we went from like the steam or whatever, technology to the information,
nuclear power.
To the information era. And then they figure out it's like, because they can only travel at a quarter of the speed of light, so they're like, it's gonna take us 400 years to get to Earth. By the time we get there, these motherfuckers are gonna be more advanced than us. So we need to figure out how to fucking prevent them from advancing. And I'm telling you, it's pretty good. And then it has like two other books, and those books are really good. So that's what I'm going for. Like, what would you think a UFO will be useful for? Like, just monitoring us? You think maybe an alien race already found us and they're monitoring us until they get here? Maybe they've sent them even before we created telescopes and satellites and stuff
So
like
you
that.
think that maybe the UFOs are like their little rovers that we send to Mars and stuff? So their UFOs are just they're like their rovers, and they're watching us, sending it back to their planet, like their information here, beaming it back over there. Maybe that's what it could be.
Yeah, I think that's the most I could come out logical. If you think that aliens think like us, because maybe they're on a totally different agenda, and I don't know. Maybe we're just part of a quadrant that.
I don't know. What if aliens are just like advanced humans from another planet? Like they just evolved. That's why, like, you know, the alien look, the slender gray body. What if they're just evolved humans from the future?
But you know what? Like, maybe. Although there's some people that already look like that. The other day I saw this little woman at the Walmart. Oh, no. I mean, she wasn't little. She was petite. She wasn't like a dwarf or anything. But she had like a big head and a really slender body and shit. I was like, oh shit, are you an alien?
The aliens are here.
I got him. I got one, Mom. No, but what was I gonna say? Fuck, I forgot. Going back to your theory of the grays, I think that's like a Hollywood imagination or maybe sci-fi, because how will you paint something that nobody has ever seen? So you think they all look like that?
They got that idea from the they say the people who claim to have been abducted, they always report them looking like that.
Yeah, but most of these people, how come no testimonies came from the, shall we say, the 1800s, you know? Because probably back then, nobody has created sci-fi stories. So all these people that are claiming that they got abducted and they describe them like that, it has to do because they got it out of a sci-fi movie or tale. Because, I mean, you don't hear stories from ancient Rome and Caesar of people getting abducted, so... And even if they will probably have had a totally different description of aliens if they actually were to see. The only thing closer to maybe aliens back in history is probably the story of angels. Maybe that's like
I
the
was thinking about
closest
that too. Yeah. What if if the angels are the spaceship?
Ah, shit, God is true.
Oh man,
God is real. Oh, fuck.
The aliens actually are God.
Well, there was also that theory that we're just like fucking like a loogie from a fucking alien and shit. Like alien happened to like pass by driving by Earth and he just spit and shit.
Did you ever watch Prometheus?
Yeah.
That's kind of like what it was, right? The alien like died and
it creates life.
And it created life, yeah. He he got infected with the virus or whatever, and melted in the primordial ooze, and it turned into humans.
Yeah. So that's the thing. Like when people, that's something funny that I always sort of analyze. That's why it's kind of hard for them to like trick me and stuff like that. Although I do want to believe though. Yeah, but it's kind of funny that all these stories happen. They describe that stuff, and everybody describes the same thing as like, oh, I just saw lights. They brought me in. They dissected me or something. Yeah. And I mean, and nobody has ever written down even in the Bible or anything that any alien abduction. It has only happened in probably the 20th century and the 21st century. No, the 21st and the 20th and the 21st century. Late in the 20th century.
So it's a pretty modern thing.
Yeah, in the 1950s, nobody was talking about aliens. They were talking about the war, shit like that. So, or the 1930s, 40s. Yeah, whenever the war was.
Well, how about the UFOs they find in paintings? Did you ever hear about that? I just pulled one up right now. You could probably see it.
Yeah. Now, what I think of the UFOs in paintings is probably shooting stars. And well, you gotta understand that back then, people still believe in like the gods and um, the whole idea of the gods in the planets and the stars and stuff like that. So, um, also the tale of aliens. I mean, not aliens, angels. And also they describe angels as not they're not like the ones they painted like in the Sixtine Chapel or the church. They are sort of these beings with wings and rings, and they have like a bunch of eyes. Like if you actually type in like real angels, they're not like humanoid. They're like freaking
Weird,
weird looking. Which
circles on fire.
yeah, which if you were to sort of make a little bit of like sort of attach it to what it could have been, it's probably people that were doing acid and they saw that shit. They're like, oh, it's a fucking angel, and that's what they draw. So yeah.
That's a theory that like a lot of the Bible was written by people, or a lot of religious texts, they were just written by people under the influence of drugs.
Bunch of druggies writing the Bible and shit.
There was supposedly this priest who, man, I gotta find the story, but he translated like the Dead Sea Scrolls, and he like actually figured out that Christianity was like a total misinterpretation or something. I'll have to look it up. That'll be a topic for the next podcast. But
yeah, we should debunk religion and the whole thing, because we need to introduce the rhumbus and stuff.
Oh, yeah, the rhombus.
Yeah. Now, actually, as I follow through with the rhombus, it makes even more sense.
There you go.
Because it's simple. It's just you have 4 gods and that's it. You know. But yeah, I think. What do you? That's good enough.
I think
Is
so.
it good enough for you? Huh?
Yeah, I think so. yeah, Mr. Professional.
Am I good enough for you, Dad? Huh? No. It's like freaking. As I'm putting lipstick on and shit. Am I good enough now, Dad? Am I good enough? Oh, shit.
Hey, you're like crying.
I'm like crying and shit. Like, my mascara's coming off and shit. Okay. Well, I guess with that we'll end it. Hopefully you guys enjoy in this Halloween special paranormal and UFOs and no longer UFOs, but whatever they want to call it now.
Whatever they are, yeah.
They're trying to hide the truth away
UAPs.
from you. So. UAPs.
They don't know that we know.
Yeah.
They don't know that we know.
But anyways, like always, don't forget to stay tuned because we like to make podcast episodes every time we feel like it. Don't forget to follow Ray at 28 Rays Later and also at Ray vs. the World. And also make sure to check out his Instagram because he does have an Instagram. And ladies, send him some DMs, you know. It's Halloween.
Oh, yeah. I'm down.
And lady boys too. Nah, I'm just kidding.
Oh, even better.
Even better. And also don't forget to subscribe to this channel, the Alive Podcast, and also check out my other channel, which is Jamshot. I'll leave a link at the descriptions. And also follow me at Jamshot Graphics on Instagram. And don't forget to check out my website because I think I recently posted the new
and buy my merch
chapters. What? The new one?
And buy my merch.
Oh, that too. But I recently posted the new pages of the chapter of my comic. So jamshot.com. Go ahead and check it out. And don't forget to buy my merch. And I'm gonna create a AV t-shirt so we can sell and shit.
Oh yeah. I want a polo.
Yeah.
I want polos.
Polo. We'll see if I can have polo and shit. But yeah. We'll get you a polo, honey. Don't worry. Anyways, so go ahead and check that out. And yeah, try to stay tuned because these conversations keep getting interesting. Either they keep getting interesting or more retarded. One or the other. So
a little bit of both.
Probably both. A good mix in here. Anything else you want to add, Ray?
No. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And we'll be back with more. So until next time. And we're out.